Hi guys, I'm Dan Hoff, CEO of HoneyStick, and today we're going to be doing some open cart surgery. No, I'm just kidding. We launched, we've all been there, a kit that is going to take care of a problem that I know everybody who's in oil vaporizers has encountered, which is you're vaping your favorite cartridge and all of a sudden it stops working. Or you're vaping it down to where oil is no longer going into the orifice holes and you have a bunch of your valuable oil stuck at the bottom of the cartridge. Or your heater gives out. Or your disposable runs out of battery life, but you have a cartridge that is no longer functioning, which still has some of your precious oil, CBD, e-juice, terpenes, whatever, and you want to try to excavate them. So what HoneyStick did was we made it really easy for you by launching our Oil Recovery Kit, which is everything that you need to help get a non-functioning cartridge that still has valuable oil in it out of the kit. In today's episode, we're going to briefly run through the contents of this kit and how to use it to excavate oil out of your cartridge. Now, just to backtrack a little bit, the way that we got this idea is actually one of our authorized distributors, my buddy Daryl over at Rich Mountain Distribution. He sent me a picture, which I'm going to make the video guy find and put up here on the YouTube screen, as it said modern day roaches. And it showed a bunch of vape cartridges that are, you know, like quarter full or half full and not working, laying around like, you know, people would have these roach jars of these the little collections of people have these little graveyards of non-working cartridges and vape accessories with oil left in them. So I was like, man, I showed that to a couple of our employees just to get a laugh out of it. And they were like, oh, I have one of those. I have one of those. I was like, wow, you know, everybody must have one of those. So let's make something to try to bring those non-working vape devices or the valuable contents in them back to life. Hence our Oil Recovery Kit, and let's make it affordable and easy to use. So Oil Recovery Kit available on www.vapehoneystick.com is going to be selling for under 10 bucks. If you use the promo code that I'll give you guys at the end of the video, you're going to get an extra couple bucks off. So let's jump right into what the kit's contents are and how we generally use it. So it's just going to come in this real simple plastic container, which a lot of stores that, because we wholesale and distribute a lot, can have them just hanging in the stores. So they have a little hanger here. You're going to get your kit. You're going to have your contents of the kit on the back. Let's get a little close up. So 2 filling syringes, 4 blunt tips, 2 syringe caps, and some VGPG solution. So let's go ahead and jump right in. You're just going to open your kit, and it's going to slide right out. You're going to have a nice tray to keep all your stuff organized in, and you're going to have a really nice large instruction card here that basically explains very simply how to use this kit. But we're going to go through all this in the video. So let's, even though I briefly ran off the contents, let's go through what we have here. So you have 2 syringes. These are 2 medical grade plastic syringes that you can use. And this is used for excavating or re-injecting your oils. Now, these syringes, they have a thread on them right in here, which you will screw your syringe blunt tip needles into nice and firmly to pull the oil out or to re-inject the oil. And when you're not using it, if you have any oils in them, you're going to have these syringe caps right here, which you're going to be able to use to seal up your syringe to make sure that you have no leaking. All right, so let's go through what type of blunt tips we have and what really they're used for. On this side over here, you have different lengths of syringe needles, because you're going to have different cartridges and different devices where you might have to get down either deeper into the device, or you might need a skinnier device to work with, because certain cartridges, for example, they have a center post which doesn't give you that much space along the edges. So you might need a skinnier needle to fit down in there. Or with certain cartridges, you might have a thicker oil that you need a wider gauge needle just so that you can draw it out. So here we have our thinnest gauge oil, and I'm going to use this just to kind of pry out. Here you have a very thin gauge needle. Let's get a close-up of that. This is like a teal green color in our kit. Very thin. It's about an inch in length. The shaft here is about 1.5 inches. No, it's about 1 inch. And it has a very thin opening. You're not going to want to use this for any oils that are really thick. You would mainly want to use this for thinner terpenes, or for very thin oils, or for CBDs, or even for e-liquid if you have it trapped in a cartridge. Don't use this for thicker oils, and you might also be forced to use this if you have a very thin area between a cartridge and a center post to excavate your oils. So this is a needle used for those devices. Now, if we come down here to the gray needle, the blunt needle tip, you'll notice it is slightly wider, but the shaft here is only about 1/2 inch. Now what you would use this for is you'd use this for slightly thicker oils or CBDs, cartridges that aren't very deep, because when you get down inside the cartridge, the oil is more than likely to be trapped around the bottom. So this would be more for larger tanks that have very open areas to where you can actually put the whole needle down in there to excavate your oil. And this is also a good needle tip that is used for dispensing oil. So once you've recovered your oil, for being able to shoot it back into your cartridge, because it's very small, it's very agile. You know, you can point it down into places. You don't have to worry about using something that is much longer, that might be a little bit clumsier when you're dispensing your oil. So that's what you would use this needle for here, this blunt needle tip. So here we have, for even thicker oils, you have your kind of a Shrek green colored cartridge here, or, you know, like a little Oscar the Grouch shade. You have a thicker needle with a longer base. This is going to be also for excavating out much thicker oils. So the thickness in the needle, you're going to use for what type of thickness of material you're trying to draw out of your cartridge. So make sure that you use the right needle, because if you have too thick of contents, you use too thick of a needle, it is just not going to draw out, or it's going to be very difficult. So you have this needle that's slightly thicker. Then if you come over here to the very far end, you have a needle that's slightly thinner but longer. So this is probably going to be one of your go-tos, and that's why we showcase it, because it's nice and long so you can get down inside cartridges. It's not overly thick, but the ring gauge of this needle is thick enough so it's going to be able to draw up a lot of the thicker oils or sludgy oils. Now, the other thing that we have that we explained here earlier is your needle covers. They're going to cover your syringes. These don't cover the actual blunt needle tips, but they will screw in once you've drawn oil out and you're going to store a syringe for later use. You simply screw it in to the syringe, and then it's sealed. It makes it nice airtight. You don't have to worry about leakage or anything like that, and you can put it up for storage. Now here we have some PGVG solution. Now, before my purists jump into the comments section of this video and start saying you don't want to mix out with your oils, this is really only to be used in circumstances that you cannot draw the oil out. It is too thick, you cannot heat up the oils, it's not going to come out, or there's just too little oil in there. So what you would do is you would take some of this PGVG, which is vapable, and you take it, you put some into your cartridges, close the cartridge up, mix it around. It'll give you something to draw out, because if you're saving oil, saving some oil and being able to vape it is better than being able to save no oil and vaping it. So this is only really to be used in very difficult circumstances where you're not able to draw out your oil, or there's not much oil in there to draw out. It's really just you add it in there, you mix it around, let it sit for a little bit, and then you would go on with your excavation process. So this is really for emergency situations where you would have something difficult to draw out. Now, let's go into what the procedure would be. We're going to do some much more specific videos of some of the customers, if you guys can drop into the comments section below what cartridges you guys have had difficulty with, so we can get the type of cartridge and make specific videos for how to excavate oil out of those cartridges. That would be really helpful to us, and we can make some really specific videos for other people who are having problems with getting oil out of a specific cartridge, how myself or James would go in there and go about maximizing the amount of oils you can salvage out of your cartridge that failed. But I'm just going to run through a real general kind of basic procedure of what you want to go through when you're looking at any cartridge to save some oil. And as you guys comment, we'll make some more specific videos and get them up here on the channel for you. So first thing you want to do is you want to have your cartridge. Now, I have these little styrofoam blocks in our shop because when we're buying a lot of cartridges that are made of glass, it's really safe to ship them in these. But what you want to do is you want to have a cartridge and you want to have it standing upright on a surface where you can get at it and perform a little bit of perform your excavation process without worrying about the cartridge falling over or falling out of your hand and breaking. So these things are just really useful to have. You can really easily just cut out a piece of foam or whatever, use a small vise or something, but you want to have your cartridge standing upright and on a stable area to where you can use both of your hands and not really worry about what you're going to do. This was actually a child lock cartridge, so it's locked. But you want to have it to where you can access it, you can see it, and you can use both hands to jump in and perform what you have to perform in there. Second of all, most of these oils, especially at colder temperatures, are thicker. Before you start any excavation process, you want to get your oil as viscous as possible. You want that liquid to flow, okay, and be as thin as possible so that you can pull it out easier. So what I recommend is once you have it sitting there, get a hair dryer and heat up the cartridge. If you're in a warm climate state, we're in Florida, a lot of you guys are in sunny, Southern California, you can simply just walk outside and leave the cartridge outside for a few minutes and it'll get really nice and thinned out. Take a hair dryer. If you're going to use a lighter, make sure you don't put the lighter directly on the glass or plastic or whatever you're drawing it out of, because you could compromise the cartridge, you could, burn it, you can have it react with your oils, you can melt a plastic one. So if you're using a lighter or something, be extremely cautious to hold it at a safe distance so you're only using the outside of the heat cone to get your cartridge warm. You don't need to get it hot, you just need to get it warm. And then once your contents in there are about as thin as they can be, then you're going to go through and you're going to select the appropriate tool that is going to fit down in there but still be thick enough to draw out your liquids. If I have a thicker oil that I'm using, then I want to make sure that I'm using a nice, as we mentioned before, a nice wider gauge syringe tip. blunt needle tip, which we're going with Shrek Green. And you want to make sure that it's going to fit between the center post. This one does fit, however, because this has an edge here, I might want to use something a little bit thinner, just so I can really get down into there. This one is going to work a little bit better. Now the thing is because this specific cartridge comes in so close here, I'm never going to fully get everything that is around the orifice holes, unless if I kind of heat and then I tilt it and I come in at an angle. So you're going to have to play around with each specific cartridge. Certain other cartridges, you're going to be able to just jump right in there, but it really depends on where the base, how the base is, how the center post is, and how big of an opening you have to work with. Not each cartridge is going to be the same. You're going to have to tinker and tamper around with them a little bit, which is why I'm really encouraging you guys to drop into the video section brand names of cartridges you guys seem to be having problems with, so we can do really cartridge specific videos. But I've taken our Performer tank, for example, which has a really open surface that you can get into, so it's really not going to be picky as to which blunt needle tip you're going to work down and get in there with. Okay, and I've even had our sub-ohm, which, for example, if you had a heater go out and you're trying to pull your oils out, I have it open here. It's not going to be picky. You could basically fit the whole syringe in there. So what you're going to do is you're going to select your proper cartridge. Make sure that it's the needle plunger here. That's what they call it, is the plunger. It's completely pushed in. Okay? Then you're going to take this and you're going to make sure that it's firmly screwed in there so it's locked in there. Then once you've made it down, heated up the cartridge, you go down in there and you very slowly, you place the needle down to the bottom, but you don't push it down to the bottom to where the needle cannot draw up the oils or get air. This works on air suction, from you guys who aren't familiar with it. And then you're going to very slowly just draw up the oils. Don't re-inject them, and draw them up so that when you're drawing it, the oil doesn't get stuck here in the syringe valve and the tip. So as you draw it up, the oil is going to travel up here. Even if you see that you've pulled all the oils out, give this an extra pull so you don't have any oils that are stuck inside the blunt needle tip. Because if you just take it out of the cartridge and you stop withdrawing and you take this off, you can have a significant amount of oil stuck in any portion of here. So you want to make sure to keep drawing so the oil makes its way past the blunt needle tip as well as the base and makes its way into the syringe. And once you've drawn it out, take one of your syringe caps here with the kit, take off your blunt needle tip. You can drop this into isopropyl alcohol right away to clean it. If you do have some stuck in there, then take whatever new cartridge you would be filling it into, use your other syringe, cock it back a little bit, screw it on, and then push down and it will shoot the oil. The air pressure will shoot the oil into whatever the little remaining oils into whatever cartridge you are placing it into. So that's just a little tip there. Once you have this sealed, you can store these syringes. Even though it says discard after use, that is for safeties. You don't want to be constantly, mixing stuff, but these are cleanable. You do have to clean them after every use. If you're going to reuse them, we will be selling extra bulk syringes on the website, so you guys don't have to buy the whole kit at one shot. We will be putting those up a little bit later, but this should serve as a very useful kit for those of you who have experiment with cartridges or just any type of oils or CBD mixing or injecting. You definitely want to have one of these. Definitely come in handy. I mean, we've already had half of our employees have already taken them to go work on their graveyard of cartridges. So definitely get a lot of use out of this kit. It will be available on www.vapehoneystick.com. Make sure to like this video if it was helpful. Make sure to subscribe. And on this particular video, I'm really looking forward to getting some of your comments, some of your cases about what cartridges you guys might have had problems with. Make sure to use my special promo code to get a discount on this kit. Honey420, it's going to give you 20% off. Follow us on Instagram at HoneyStick, at Vape HoneyStick, and Official Vape HoneyStick. Make sure to reach out to us via social media and tell us all about your experiences with it. And if you're having any trouble with these cartridges, make sure to use these kits as this video and the instructions intended to be used. And make sure, whatever you're doing, to do it responsibly. Take care until next time. Cheers.